everybody. First day back at work. It was a long day. I'm just not used to getting up anymore. And I hadn't slept too well, so I'm quite tired. But I thought I was going to do a little bit of a beginning video about a game that I've had for several months now. I can't even recall when I got it. I do recall doing an unboxing, and it's Warfighter, the Tactical Special Forces card game, 2nd edition by Dan Versen Games. I have the base game, and I think I bought 2 expansions, but I can't remember what they were. They came as little card packets. What is this game? Well, this game is essentially a card game where you play at individual soldier level. You can play with only just one person if you like. And you go through missions. In the modern Warfighter game, it comes with 3 different settings. You've got the jungle warfare against drug cartels. You've got the Middle Eastern theater where you have insurgents, and the military. So you have 3 different types of engagement, enemies and location. I think the Middle Eastern locations are identical for both insurgents and the military. So you have 2 different theaters, jungle and Middle East, and you've got 3 different hostile types. So the game in my edition came with a huge board, and it's a real board, as you can see, cardboard. It's not one of those flimsy mats which I believe Single-Handed Warfare shows when he does his playthrough, and he's very unhappy about it. So when I saw this, I was actually very happy because I thought, ooh, brilliant. I have a real mat. I didn't expect this to come with a board. However, the board itself is kind of not very good, and I'm not the only one who thinks so. And for a long time, I played this game once and I really hated it, and I can't really say why. One of the reasons why the game may not be as successful is that the rules are really badly written. DVG just doesn't write good rules. They just can't. I don't understand why, because they really put in a lot of effort. You know, you have all of these nice pictures and stuff, but the rules are written really badly. This goes for every single one of their games. But over the Christmas period, I watched someone play it, and I felt oddly motivated to dig this game out again, and I overcame my hatred of it, and I played it 3 times in the last 2 days, and I actually quite enjoyed it. So I thought I am going to make a video, but it's going to be semi-blind playthrough because I'm not as familiar with the game as I would like to be. So how does this game work? The idea is essentially that you have a mission to fulfill, and you can get these missions as parts of the setup. So you have different missions for the jungle and different objectives. So what you do is you draw a mission. You can do this randomly, or you can make your own choices. So I'm going to actually play the covert mission. And on a mission card you have usually a really interesting picture. It tells you that this is a jungle mission. Entrance cost is 0. Well, you are basically upselling, so you don't have to pay for this. It tells you how many resources you've got. In this case, you have 37 resources that you can use. It also tells you that at the start of the first turn, the soldier can do recon 1 location, which means, I'm going to explain this later, that you can go through the really big deck of action cards to find a location. It gives you the timer. You have 8 rounds, and it tells you that the objective is the 4th location, starting from the entrance location and including it, and the loadout is -1. So essentially, loadout is the amount of weight that each soldier can carry, and since this is jungle, it's difficult terrain, the loadout is reduced. So if somebody can carry, let's say, 20 loadout, they would now only be at 19. So you have the mission. Then you choose or you can take the objective. And last night, when I drew these randomly, I drew the VIP sit down, which is an objective. it again tells you it's in the jungle. Entrance cost is 1, so it means you need to have 1 mobility, and I'm going to explain when I do the playthrough how mobility works. I call it mobility, you could call it movement, to move here. It shows you that when you are in this place, in the reinforcement step, you're going to draw reinforcements with a value of 0 or 1, so this would be a reinforcement 0 of value 1. And reinforcements in this case are hostiles, it's not your own people. And it tells you what you need to do. It tells you to destroy the house, and you can only do this with explosion attacks. It's a structure, so if you have things that can attack structures, and I don't think you've got them in the base game. So for example, this is an LAW, it doesn't attack structures. But you might have something that can attack a structure. So basically I went with M2 munition, that's explosion. And oh yes, it does actually say structures on this card, so yeah. +2 size, it means it's big, if this matters, and you need to defeat cover 3 and you have to have 4 kills and hostiles screen the house. So this would tell you what will happen with this particular example, objective. So basically you have 2 locations that you start with, and you could use the mat, but the mat is terrible, unfortunately. So you would have this, and then you would have this, and this would be your road that you're going to take, so to speak. And in between these 2 will be, in this case, 2 more locations, because it tells you that the objective is on place 4, and this is on place 1. So you would have 2 cards in between, and these are locations that you need to draw. And these location draws happen when you draw from the action deck. The action deck contains cards that you can play. They may change your attack value, they may allow you to do a free reload of your weapon, they may allow you to do a heal action or help you with healing or get rid of a suppression counter. You can also simply discard them, and if you discard 3 cards, this would be a movement or mobility value of 3. Or some of them are also locations. The locations need to be shuffled in at the beginning of each game, depending on the theater you're playing in. At the moment, I'm only playing jungle because that's the easiest one, and I want to do a campaign around this. So I've got them in here, and as I draw cards, and there is another stack that is even bigger than this one of action cards, I draw a hand of cards depending on the player soldier that I play as, and then I hope to find a location in here, because if I don't, then the problem is I can't move and I need to get from here to there, and I can only do this if I can put locations in between me and that. So this is my first hand, 2, 4, 6. I've actually got 2 locations, that's lucky. I've got a choke point and I've got repelling, and then I have to see what I need to do to play this. So this one is just 1 action to play. This one is also 1 action to play. Sometimes you also have to expend experience points, which you can only do if you've already had experience, which means you must have killed someone. And then you have other cards that you can either use and play for the ability that they give you, or to spend them as movement cards. So this is essentially one of the things that you have, but the most important thing is that once you know what your mission is, you start putting together the team that's going to undertake the mission. And this game does remind me a lot of Space Infantry, only it's a lot more modular, because in Space Infantry you always have the same, as we saw, you always have the same locations in the same order, because they're not modular. They come on a pre-printed paper, except for the hive missions. They are modular too. So essentially, you then have to say, okay, I want to put together a group of people. There are different types of soldiers that you can choose from. There are the player soldiers. This would be Banes. and there are others as well. Yeah, so we've also got Baker, Hurst, and these are essentially you. You are this person. You take on the role of this person. You can have more than one, but of course they are quite expensive as well. So if we look at Zembik has a cost of 38. You only have resources of 37 for this particular mission, so you can't even get him because he comes as unequipped. It's just the person that you get. And then you've got Hurst, he's 21. Mignard is pretty cheap. He comes as 8. But he only has a health of 5, and health in this case means the number of cards that you draw and can hold in your hand. He also has 0 movement, so it means you always have to, if he needs to move somewhere, you always have to expend cards. So you kind of have to make a decision who you're going to bring. So all of the soldier characters come without equipment. So any cost up here is just essentially inviting the person to go along. Then you have the so-called non-player soldiers. They have usually got higher values, but they come fully equipped, and the equipment they have is down here, and you don't have to pay extra for it. So Mitten comes at a cost of 21. He has 3 actions per turn, which is a lot, and he has an M203 M4 gun, an ACOG sight, red dot sight, and 2 M67 grenades. So if you get him, you have 21 that you pay, and you have 16 left. You still need a player soldier because only those guys have cards and you need them. Then you also have the squad soldiers, and they are usually quite cheap. Some of them are, some of them aren't. You know, this one only has 1 action per round, and he can only act at range 0. So he can only attack people that are on the same location. This one is expensive, well, more expensive anyway. He's got a value of 6, but he can also attack people at range 1, so 1 location away. This one is very expensive, but he's also very, very good. I mean, he's got a kill value of 4 on his at range 0 and of 6 on range 1, which is serious. And he's got 4 health and 3 actions. So you have to make a decision what you would like to do, who you would like to bring along. And I don't have that many soldiers, but that's because I didn't buy any upgrade packs. But of course, a soldier is nothing without their equipment. And you get equipment that you can equip, So you've got weapons, so this would be explosives. Here you've got a couple of guns, a claymore, carbine, sniper rifle, bar knife, shotguns, more carbines, and you can basically get those, but each has a cost, and it's a cost that goes against your resource, and each weighs something. So if we look at the M16A4 rifle, it has a cost of 4. Remember, we only have 37 cost in total, and it weighs 4 units. So the loadout that you would be consuming would be 4. So if we look at this person here, Tomadakis has a loadout of 10, -1 because of the mission, so he can only take 9 points of equipment. So if we give him this, he has 5 points left. It would come with ammo, but then he might also want additional ammo, which would be a cost of 1 again, but also weighing 1. And then you might want to give him something else. You might want him to carry the explosives that we need to take out the structure. You might want him to have a sight. You might want him to take some bandages and stuff. So you basically have to calculate how much money you have, i.e. the resources, and how much the people you're bringing with you can carry. And you can give additional ammunition to NPS as well as player soldiers, but you cannot give any additional ammunition to the squads. They also don't need it because they can never run out of ammunition, but you can. So what you do is you basically make a decision, who do you want to bring along? what do you need to complete the mission? So we definitely need explosives. How much can these people carry? How much money do I have to equip them? And so you put together your, and I'm just looking for something else because I've got more than just this. I also have skill cards, which are very, very nice. And that's where it becomes almost RPG. Because your soldiers also have skills that you can assign to them. So for example, marksman would be a skill. So that is somebody who's really good at so that's more action cards. And here we have the Middle East. That's not what we wanted. And here we have the skills and other equipment that isn't weapons. So you have, for example, the marksman skill, which adds 1 to your ranged attack rolls because you will be rolling dice later. Agility, it adds 1 to your movement value. Squad fire, add 1 to non-player soldier and squad soldier attack rolls. Basically to all of the rolls, regardless of range, but only once per mission. Operator, gain +1 hand size. Focus, when you declare an attack, you may expend 1 XP to ignore screening restrictions. It's very good. Close combat, add 1 to your ranged 0 rolls. Leadership, only once. Defeat cover rolls, you add 1 to your ranged attack defeat cover rolls. That's very helpful. Then you have other things that you can put on your weapons. Forward grip, canteen. Well, that's not something you put on your weapons, but if you have this, it costs you 1, but you can expend it to draw 3 cards, which isn't an action then. A sight, hydration packs, which allow you to draw 1 card. A molly, knee elbow pads, which help you to move more quickly. Cost 1 loadout instead of the 2. Usually the loadout is the same as the cost in resources. So you can add these things to your soldier at a cost, of course. So they all cost resources, and if you don't have enough resources, then you can't do it. So you have to basically balance what you can give to people against what they can carry, if it is physical stuff, or also at how much you can actually afford. So you could, in theory, try and equip just 1 person for the 37. And if they are really strong, they might be able to carry loads, but then you only have 1 person. If they are down, they're down. You also only have two actions per round if you only have 1 person, because I think all player soldiers they have 2 actions max, and if they are suppressed, let's say twice, then they have no actions except for trying to get out of suppression and try and get back into the game. So it is a very interesting premise. And in the beginning, like I said, I couldn't get into the game. I don't know what it was, if it was something, if it was the play mat, because someone else on YouTube, I watched them and they said that they really didn't enjoy the game. And then they realized it was the mat, which basically focused them in such a way that they wanted to use it because it was there, but they found it quite confusing the way it dominates the play area but doesn't really do anything or not much for you. And they felt that this was actually taking away the fun for them. And I think that's a very good observation, and that could have been my problem as well, because then last night for the first time I played without the mat and just basically laid out the cards on my living room floor and just played like I would normally play a card game like this. And it was very, very enjoyable. So I'm going to play this today. I'm going to do the covert VIP sit-down scenario. And I will film this, but of course it will probably contain loads of errors because I'm very new to this game, and I just wanted to update you on it because I did do an unboxing and then I pretty much maintained radio silence and didn't talk about it anymore. And the reason was really that I couldn't get into it. I really wanted to like the game, but it somehow didn't work. But over the last couple of days, I have a feeling that me and the game have clicked, as it were. And that's, I guess that's a good thing. And I wish you all a happy new year and a nice rest of the day. Bye-bye.